In this video, I'm going to be talking about the pros and cons of a tenant-occupied property. Now, there are both pros and cons, but this is actually a criteria that I look at personally and one that I recommend looking at because of all of the pros or the benefits of what come with it. So we're talking about a property that is listed for sale, whether it's on the market or off market, that has a current tenant in the property. They have a lease contract in place, whether they have a specific end date 4 months from now, or whether that lease contract is month to month. So it's going to vary on any different and any specific case, but generally these are what we're going to see in what I view as some of the pros and some of the cons of looking at tenant occupied properties. So let's start with the pros. Number one, the biggest one is going to be a discounted price. There are many reasons why the property will be listed at a discount. Typically it's because rent is under market rent, so the current owner or the landlord is not getting as much as what they possibly could. There is the reality that it's going to turn off retail buyers or first-time home buyers, somebody who's looking to move into the home. So that house is no longer appealing to the masses. It's a small group of people, which leads me into the second pro, which is less buyers. Again, you take out all of your retail buyers, your buyers that are looking to move into the property right away. You also take away investors who don't want to deal with a tenant already in the property. They would rather place the tenant in the property themselves. So the two big ones are going to be discounted price, and there's less buyers, so there's less competition to get that property, which means maybe there's no bidding war. We don't have to go over asking, or we don't have to offer different terms that we don't want to offer. The next one is going to be less vacancy up front. Obviously, you have a tenant right in place, so that kind of feeds into the last one of it's going to be cash flowing from day one. You have a tenant paying, so that at the closing table, the security deposit is going to be prorated, so that's going to be sent to you. You also have rent prorated, that's going to be put right into your pocket for the remainder of the month. So from the time that you close, you have cash flow and there's no vacancy up front. The last piece of this and something to consider is that when offering or making an offer on a property that is tenant occupied, maybe we offer cash for keys. So we offer slightly over asking price and say, hey, I'm offering $1,000 more to you, Mr. Seller or Mrs. Seller, because I want you to be able to turn around and give that to the tenant prior to us closing as cash for an exchange of keys. So that's just another little piece that I thought I would throw in there. Overall, those are the pros to a tenant occupied property. Some of the cons now. Number one, again, we talked about it's going to be lower market rent. That means you're going into a property, owning a rental property where the rent is under market rent. You could be getting more. Now, on a contract where the lease agreement goes until a specific end date and it's not month to month, you can't increase that because in Michigan, you have to give a 30 days notice of increased rent, and you can only do that on a month to month lease agreement. So in some cases, you're able to tell them the day of closing, hey, 30 days from now, we're increasing rent. That's a good benefit to have there. But if you have a tenant who is in a lease contract for another 2 or 3 months, well, unfortunately, there's nothing you can do about that until that time comes. The second con is you didn't screen the tenant. You didn't put the tenant in place. You didn't do the background check. You didn't do the credit score. You didn't call their references and different things like that. So there is a bit of hesitation with that. So the best thing that you can do is try to talk to the seller, try to talk to the property management company that's in place, try to just get a feel for that specific property. Sometimes they're willing to share that information. The third thing that I would consider to be a con is that they're in contract or in a lease agreement on somebody else's contract. So they're using somebody else's lease agreement. And you want to make sure on any offer that you write on a tenant occupied property, we're always going to write it contingent on reviewing the leases or the lease and ledgers. So proof of the agreement and proof of payments, those are the big things. So you just want to make sure that you're reading over that contract. Some of them are good, some of them are not so great. But again, it's typically a short period of time before you're able to move rent up to where you want it to be and put them into your lease agreement that you've written up, whether it be you with your attorney or whatever the case may be. Overall, these are the pros and cons of a tenant occupied property, and why I get multiple questions from people on, Nick, why do you recommend it? What are the pros of it? We're a little bit hesitant. In my opinion, the overall benefits of what you're able to get out of it far outweigh the cons and some of the negative things, just because, again, what you're able to do with purchasing and the price you're able to purchase. You're not going beyond your means or offering terms that are no longer comfortable. There's less buyers, there's less competition, and you're getting into day one cash flow. All of those reasons are reasons why I personally look for tenant occupied properties, and I would recommend that you do the same. I hope you found this video helpful. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions. I will have my email and phone number in the description below. If you need anything, feel free to reach out.